Now, again, I went into some detail previously, but you can set all of these different calendars separately, and you can make them appear or not appear on your master calendar. All right. There are other calendars available. For instance, U.S. holidays. I mentioned that that's by default, Google gives you that. Now, there's also a fairly complicated, I'm not going to get into it in depth because most people aren't going to be having others change their schedule. But you can do that because you can share a calendar with someone. All right. So you can actually make a public calendar, which when you do it, you get a URL that you can give to people and they can see your calendar. All right. I don't know that a lot of people would be doing that, but you might. You can share with specific users. Okay. And this is the instruction for doing that. And then there are other options as well. Okay, this is actually a bit complicated, and it takes a while to become familiar with this, but there are different addresses for the different calendars. And when you're setting up some software in other devices, you need to know about these calendar addresses. For example, this is the control panel essentially for my calendar settings. Okay, of course this will take you to the explanation of that, but let me go to the calendar and settings, calendars. Okay, so this is my calendar, and these obviously are functions within that, but this is the calendar address. Now, these are different format calendar addresses. So this address is simply for an HTML link that you can send to someone so that they can look at your address. iCal, I believe, is for, I'm not sure whether that's Microsoft or Apple, but iCal is another format, and then XML is a third format. And watch what I do with this. I'm going to copy this right here. All right, and notice it says you can copy and paste this into any feed reader. Remember what I said about IG Home or a custom startup page? Well, if I'm just going to add it here just for convenience sake. If I add an RSS feed by pasting in the shortcut that I copied from the Google Calendar address, it will display it on this page, this RSS page. And of course I can, do certain settings. Well, this is to actually let them know what it's all about. Okay, so there is a listing of my calendar events on that page. And I can set that, I can go in and say, all right, I want to display up to 9 different items. Now notice that's a different kind of display. All right, that's item by item. Now when I go to my home page, I actually see a calendar. All right, with the different displays. It is kind of cramped. I believe you can set a right here you have page layout. So I suppose if I wanted a larger calendar, I could put that at 2 columns, and then when I go back to that home page, now I've got a bigger calendar, and I have all my Gmail spread across here, and I have these that I have to now scroll down to see. Okay, so the third column would have had that news block there. All right, so that's essentially what you need the addresses for if you want to do various things with your Google Calendar. There are ways to send invitations via Gmail, auto insert. Okay, so we're not talking about the calendar, we're talking about being in Gmail and inviting someone to an auto insert an event. So if I'm in Gmail, right here. Okay, so if I move my cursor right here, this is my cursor, and I move it down here, notice that it shows up some icons. I'll make that bigger. All right, so when I bring my cursor down, this appears, and I can insert an invitation. Now, calendar sharing, again, you would click up here to share a calendar, and at the top right of the page you get a set of icons, and you click event, and you get this drop down list. Okay, so if I wanted to share something, I could share a link, I could share an event, I could schedule something and then share it. And so here, this is integrated with Google+. And what it enables you to do is you have, with Google+, it's sort of like Facebook. You have friends, you have different friends lists, you have a family list, etc. You can share a particular event with a number of people who are in a particular Google Plus group. However, you can also just simply type email addresses in and send an invitation that way. Okay, so it's a handy little way to send invitations.